and especially like Black Belize and South East Oxford, it's extremely like multicultural. But I'm not sure if it was the same for you. Maybe around the similar age, I was going through a similar thing where I started not liking dancehall, not liking hip hop, and just trying different things and stuff. And the people around me, particularly the people of colour, were like, "Oh, that's not what you're supposed to do, though. Like, you're of West Indian descent, so you should listen to dancehall. You should dress this way. You should behave this way. You should talk more patois," and just stuff like that. And there is that, although it's multicultural, there is a sort of pressure from certain cultural groups and communities, I feel.
Yeah, definitely. I remember people would always say to me, when I started going to Charwell and St Gregory's, people from Black Belize would say that I changed my accent. They were like, you started to sound posh. And I was like, what is that? Because for me, I didn't really understand what was happening. But that's because I think I was just literally becoming more eloquent. Like, I was, I literally, that was it. I was like learning bigger words. I was being able to express myself in a different manner, and people were like, "You're becoming posh. We don't like that." But for me, I actually just think it was like, oh, actually, I think I'm just like, my brain's like actually developing a little bit more, and like I can express myself in different ways. So yeah, my mum and my dad used to say it to me all the time. They're like, "You sound so posh now," and I'm like, "Oh, I don't." But
it's really interesting you say that, because I personally have started to really despise that word posh, just because it's kind of used as, it's not supposed to be an insult, but it feels like people otherize you when you say that. Especially people from the same background as you, they say, "Oh, you're posh." It's a sort of them saying, "You're not like us."
Yeah.
But you think to yourself, "But I am like you, because I'm from the same place. And we experience the same things. Don't otherize me." But anyway, so after that, you went to uni. What did you study at uni?
Fashion journalism.
And this was in
London College of Fashion.
I'm very intrigued. We'll get onto the course itself, because fashion is an incredible world
It's weird.
in itself. But I'm really intrigued as to how people perceived you in London. Because no disrespect to Londoners, but I definitely feel there is a higher level of expectation of you as a black person in London than anywhere else.
It's really weird, because like I didn't realise anything maybe about London until I finished uni, because in my course there was like 2 girls from London. So everyone else was like mainly international students, but everyone else had come from different places. So it was a bit weird of like this little like micro society in itself that I lived in, where it was like people that weren't from London, right? So it was when I left uni and I started meeting people from London that I even started to understand what like the whole like being black, being British, and being a Londoner was, and like how they're weird. I love you guys, but you're weird. And I don't know. There's like it's all about who you know and what you're doing, and I don't know how, like, I've met a few genuine people, but I even forgot what you were saying, but like,
well, I was just wondering how, okay, not just Londoners, but how did people generally perceive you upon you saying, "Hi, I'm Bemi, I'm from Oxford"?
Oh, just people would expect me to be posh, right?
Okay,
posh. I don't know what that word even means anymore, but like, "Oh, you're from Oxford." There's literally "Oh, you're from Oxford, are you?" was the response I'd get, and be like, "Oh, tea and crumpets, and you're so posh," and I'd be like, "What does I know?" And I'd always have to say to people, "No, I'm from Black Belize, Google it." Because you'd Google it and it'd be coming up, "Oh, stabbing here, shooting here, da da da," and I got bored of trying to explain to people that there was another part of Oxford, which was the bit I'm from. But then also, I don't know why I'd have to do that. Now I realise that like I shouldn't have to. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm from Oxford. That's all I need to say to you, which is what I do now. But before, I'd have to really, really distance myself from that upper class, middle class background. Whereas now I don't feel the need to do it. But when I definitely was like, "Oh no, I'm like you," or like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not posh, I promise. But
it's interesting. I definitely feel you so much that it doesn't really matter. But I found myself having this identity crisis, and like, to the people who had this expectation of me being posh, I would act a little bit more gangster. And even that wasn't being true to myself. I was just like desperately trying to convince people that I'm not what you think. So I'm going to do the polar opposite to what you think, which is still not me. And it creates this kind of conflict of like, I'll be really posh to kind of prove to you that not everyone from Black Belize is a gangster.
Yeah.
But then I'll be gangster to prove to you that not everyone from Oxford is posh.
Yeah.
And it creates this like conflict of character.
It really does. Like, I do remember actually just being quite posh, I guess, when I was at uni. Because that was because of the people that were around me. Everyone was like really rich, basically. And I come from like a working class background. Didn't know what certain things were. Like, and I was really trying to like appear to be something that I wasn't, which is, and when I think back about this stuff now, I'm like, you, like, how have you not had therapy? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you were going through a lot, like, your brain was getting pulled in so many different directions, and, like, trying to be the, I know when I'd go out on a night out, like, I just want to be, like, twerking and dancing, but you like, can't act like that, because it's like, you're with your posh friends, you just gotta, like,
exactly,
sidestep and jig, like, it was, like, it was weird.
It's really interesting that you mentioned therapy, actually, because I've got a story after. So this was after I left uni. I went to uni in Bristol, and then I came here to London, and for a short period of time I was working for a company called Dice. They're like a ticketing company, events company, and we had, because we were a startup, we had all these like different startup companies come and like collaborate with us. One of which was called Sanctus. I'm not sure if you've heard of them, but they're basically like, they provide free therapy for startup companies. So they basically create a little small office within your office, and like members of staff go in at different times and just have a chat, just have like a, you know, just a session essentially.
That's really good.
And I remember at the time, I've always generally been quite a happy person. I've always thought mental health's fine, like I don't need therapy. So I went in, sat down, and I was talking to this woman. She was just asking questions. Oh yeah, how are you feeling? I was like, yeah, I'm alright. Like, you know when you overthink the question someone asks you, think, what are you trying to work out? Have you seen Peep Show? There's that episode where Jez is like, well, I'm going to tell you what you don't want to hear.
Is he going to get me sectioned? I hope he doesn't have a secret sectioning button under there. So what do you want me to do? Pull down my pants and fertilise the plants?
But I was really confused. And then eventually I like kind of, felt a bit more comfortable. And then she started asking me questions that made me realise, this is something we mentioned off mic, made me realise that I have a survivor's guilt. And I thought, how do I have survivor's guilt? It doesn't make sense. And it was all because I felt so displaced from the people from where I'm from. Like there was a few comments in the lead up to that, such as like, you're too posh to be from Black Belize, and just things based around kind of being posh and being here, and people from Black Belize don't make it here, and you don't have kids when people from Black Belize have kids by this age, and just stuff like that. And it made me realise I have this survivor's guilt. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast, essentially. And you're so right, I think it made me realise that people that have literally come from a certain background and find themselves in a completely different environment probably could do with therapy.
Oh, 100%.
At some point.
100%. Like, now it's something I've looked into having, because I know for a fact, I was saying to you before, like, I was really immersed in this London scene for such a long time, like way too much than I'd ever wanted to be. And I do remember it getting way too much. And one, it was like, I had like 7 different personalities. Like, honestly, I felt like I'd my work Bemi, PP, like being in Pussy Palace Bemi, like going home and being with my family, going with my boyfriend, just being like this, maybe as authentic as I could be. And I was just like,
what do you mean by authentic?
Like, not having to say what I think people want me to say.
I see.
Do you know what I mean? Just not having to think about what I was saying. And also just being like, oh, I can just talk and it'll be absolutely fine. Because even when I speak to my family, you always, like, they put so much money and effort into me being here. And, like, we were saying, like, sometimes you get people telling you, oh, you're doing so well. But, like, sometimes when I was first started out working, like, I couldn't afford my rent. Like, I'd be working, like, 3 jobs trying to, like, even sustain what I was doing, because, you know, you start off in these jobs and you have to literally work
exactly
for free. But people are like, oh my god, you're doing so well. And I'm like,
I'm not.
If only you knew.
How can you not see this?
If only you knew I'm so struggling right now. But, like, I'm going to try and do this. So even when I was speaking to my family, it was like, oh, I'm doing fine, Mum. No, I haven't had any sleep because I'm literally doing a bar job, working in the daytime and working at the weekends. But I'm fine. Like, I'm telling you, I'm fine. And then, like, when I'd be with my boyfriend, I remember I'd just been like, oh, I'm exhausted. Like my brain's exhausted. And I went. That's why I'm saying to you, I went back to Oxford because I wanted a break. I was like, I'd had enough of it. I wanted a break. I tried to go back and just like I decided to do a month. In my head was like going to do a month and try and just chill and recuperate and get and then start looking for jobs and get back into London. And I was like, I lasted a week and a half.
Yeah.
In Oxford, and I was like, I can't do this. I was so bored. I didn't know what to do. My friends weren't my friends anymore. Like I've still got some real good like day ones in Oxford, but they have jobs too. Like they can't entertain me in the daytime when I'm not working. And like I was like, I can't do this anymore. I just couldn't. I could see myself getting stuck again, and this sort of stuck wasn't the stuck that I wanted to be. I honestly I couldn't be back in Oxford. I didn't see my life. My life wasn't there anymore, and I had to move back.